Hello and welcome to another edition of AppSec Decoded. I'm Taylor Armerding, security advocate with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group, and today we're going to be talking about software vulnerabilities, the defects that every legitimate organization is trying to eliminate and every criminal hacker is trying to exploit. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about the recently released 2023 Software Vulnerability Snapshot Report by the Synopsys Cybersecurity Research Center. And that report is based on anonymized data gathered from 3,830 tests conducted on 2,061 software systems. And the findings, not surprisingly, confirm that building better software is crucial. If applications aren't secure, it doesn't matter what they do, how much fun they are, how many bells and whistles they have, because they can put you and your customers at risk. And joining me to talk about that is one of our resident experts on the topic, Chai Bhatt, Security Solutions Manager with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. So moving along, the snapshot found that most of the worst types of security vulnerabilities over the past 3 years have remained unchanged, except for application misconfiguration, which jumped from number 9 to number 5. So why do you think that is? I think the average person, the fact that the list hasn't changed all that much, shouldn't that make it easier to mitigate? If it's the same kind of vulnerabilities, why aren't they getting addressed and mitigated more effectively?
The last time OWASP updated their top 10 vulnerability list was 3 years ago. So,
Okay.
these tend not to change as significantly over time as much. But there's several factors that go into why that is, why so many vulnerabilities are making it through into production or pre-production even. I'll touch on two of them,
Okay.
in this thing. And those two are kind of sort of also the reason why application misconfiguration has moved up a bit in this year's list, rather.
Sure.
And it's interesting that actually correlates with the OWASP top 10 list as well, because application misconfiguration has moved up in the OWASP top 10 list as well. And while application misconfiguration has moved up, what also shows up is server misconfigurations and network misconfigurations as well. So misconfigurations in general are a large chunk of the vulnerabilities that we're seeing.
Right.
And again, there's numerous factors as to why, but one of the two I want to address is, one is the complexity, right? So the complexity has gone up significantly over the past 3, 4, 5 years on how applications are built. Applications are no longer monolithic like they used to be in the past. They're more agile, right? With the advent of 5G, there's a lot more microservices that can be spun up and down, and applications can be constructed really, really quickly and virtualized with containerized environments and so on.
Sure.
So the complexity of the applications has gone up significantly. What all these different microservices, hosting environments, containers, cloud, the public cloud, the private cloud, hybrid cloud infrastructures. Because of this complexity, there's a lot more opportunity to have misconfigurations and have, so you have servers, you have applications that come with features that, you may not even necessarily need, operating systems that might be old and not updated, stuff like that. So there's just so many different factors that go into that. So that just increases the complexity. And that's one of the reasons that why application misconfigurations has moved up. The other reason we're seeing is, you see a lot of data these days, which shows that, companies have anywhere from hundreds to thousands of applications.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of them may be internal, some of them may be customer facing, some of them may be partner facing, but there's hundreds to thousands of applications. So you have to actually scale your testing, your security testing across so many different applications
Yeah.
across the SDLC. And that's also a challenge. And that can lead to a lot of misconfigurations and a lot of complexity by itself. Just the scale of the testing that needs to be done. So
Right.
so you have to address not just the complexity, but also the scale across the SDLC to kind of contain the number of vulnerabilities that are making it through.
Another key finding is that organizations need visibility into what's bad and good, the full spectrum of vulnerabilities, along with the tools that they're using to try to find and fix them. How can they get that kind of visibility?
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. That's kind of the previous question kind of leads into this question as well, because it's not just the applications that are complex, but the SDLC is complex as well. If you look at an average company, a mid-sized to large, or even a small company, they have a variety of a combination of tools, security tools that they're using in their SDLC. They could be using SAST from one vendor. They could be using IAST from another vendor. They
Sure,
could be
sure.
using SCA from a completely different vendor. So
Yeah.
these are disparate tools that are being used together within an SDLC. So obviously these tools, they were built by different vendors. They're not designed to architected to talk to each other. They have their own reporting. They have their own policies. They have their own system. For example, one tool might classify a vulnerability in a different category than in another tool. So, one tool could classify the same vulnerability as a high severity vulnerability, but another tool might classify the same vulnerability as a low severity vulnerability, right?
Mixed messages.
Mixed messages. And on top of that, as you're trying to move faster and faster, more frequently and more faster to push out as many applications as quickly to market as possible, and you have all these different permutations and combinations of security testing that's going on in the SDLC, that can be quite complex in itself, in addition to the application complexity, the network complexity, and so on. So it really helps to have one single pane of glass view into all your findings from across different tools to see, they're deduplicated, one policy that's applied to all, and that way you can get a single pane of glass view and that you can use for communication as well. So you need a lot of CISOs get asked by the board, by the CEO, is like, hey, what's my risk level right now?
Sure.
So you can actually pull a report in minutes and show them, here's my risk. I have X number of critical vulnerabilities. This is my plan to fix them in the next 1 week. I have X number of high severity vulnerabilities, and this is my plan to fix them. And this report can also be used successfully for compliance purposes as well. So if you're in a compliance heavy industry, regulatory regulated industry like healthcare or financial services, you can use this report for that as well. So what is recommended is to have a ASPM tool that actually does unified reporting and does unified policy management across the SDLC. And that really helps out with the complexity.
Thank you, Chai. We'll have to leave it there. But remember that you can download the 2023 Software Vulnerability Snapshot, and it's free on Synopsys.com. And thank you for joining us. And until next time, I'm Taylor Armerding with the Synopsys Software Integrity Group. We help organizations build trust into their software.